A story manifests itself in a personality, in a set of goals and a set of assumptions about the world, perceptions about the world. And if you have had terrible things happen to you in the past, and that's pretty much true of everyone, although some people more than others, then your body computes the present danger of the environment based on how many things have happened to you that are terrible in the past that aren't resolved. And resolved would mean that you had generated a solution for them. And if your psychophysiological system assumes that all the danger that you were subject to once is still present in the environment, then it's going to set you on edge as if you're walking in dangerous territory. The thing about memory is that it's not there to provide an accurate, objective record of the past, which is in fact impossible because the past is so unbelievably complex. It's more like a navigation tool, which is I went here, I fell into something terrible, and now I need to recalibrate the navigation map that I'm using so that I don't fall into the same hole. If you have a memory that's older than about 18 months, and it haunts you, and when it comes up involuntarily, it produces a stress reaction. What that means is that as far as your nervous system is concerned, and so as far as your body's concerned, that danger hasn't gone away. If you have memories like that plague you, is to bring them to mind voluntarily instead of waiting for them to come after you involuntarily, and then to think through what has changed and what might not have, but also to come up with a plan so that if a similar circumstance arose, you'd be in a better position in one way or another to deal with it. The evidence that writing about your past, of unresolved issues in your past, let's say remaining mysteries, reduces the overall level of stress that you carry with you, because your body computes your average level of stress by calculating something like the proportion of things you don't understand that have happened to you to the proportion of things that you do understand. And you want that ratio to be low. You want to have understood virtually everything that happened to you, so that if the same situation, same potentially problematic situation that did you in the past arises in the future, you know how to deal with that. You straighten out your story about who you are and where you're going. That will lower your baseline levels of neuroticism. Now, conscientious conduct also decreases neuroticism. There's a negative correlation between conscientiousness and neuroticism, and it looks causal in that more orderly and industrious people suffer less from negative emotion. Okay, and that's probably because they put their environments in order, right? They actually keep order in their immediate environment, so things are neat and orderly around them, but they also work hard so that the future is more stable. Acute self-consciousness is so tightly associated with misery that they may be essentially the same thing. So now you can't really escape from that trap by consciously trying to think less about yourself, because if you start thinking less about thinking about yourself, you just end up thinking more about yourself. That's not helpful. But what you can do, this is extremely useful, is you can start thinking about how to put other people at ease and what you can do for other people, like how you can be of service. And paradoxically, because that takes the self-conscious stress off you, then your negative emotion levels will fall. Imagine I ask you, say, why don't you just sit down one day for an hour, or maybe across a couple of days, and write down all the things that you're afraid of and avoiding that are necessary for you to do to move forward. Then you need to break each of those down. You need a strategy, and a written strategy would be very helpful. You need a strategy of exposure. Like maybe you're behind on your tax documents, let's say, or there's some other stack of paperwork sitting on your desk that you're not attending to because you're afraid. And there may be lots of things in your life that you're not attending to because you're afraid. And so, first of all, you want to admit to what those things are, and you can ask yourself that. Then you want to write them down. Then you want to come up with a strategy for starting to deal with them. So like if it's a stack of unpaid bills that you're terrified of, and that you've been avoiding for a few months or even worse, you're going to be pretty damn afraid to even take a look at the problem. But it'll almost inevitably be the case that if you take a look at the problem, a detailed look, the reality will be less terrifying than the specter that your imagination has conjured forth. That will also fortify you, partly because you reduce the number of things that you're afraid of by actually dealing with those things, so they go away. You actually solve the problems, but also you train yourself to see that you're the sort of person that doesn't have to run from their problems no matter what they are.